My son's hesitation when I asked about his day changed everything. What I found wasn't just an affair. It was a calculated double life with spreadsheets, stolen money, and lies stacked on lies. When her lover showed up in my office to reveal the real timeline, I knew war had just begun. My name is Liam Walker. I'm 44 years old, and I've spent 18 years building two things, a family and a business. Walker Auto Sales started as a single lot with 12 used cars. Now we've got 3 locations across the county, moving over 300 vehicles monthly. My wife Sophie handles the books and marketing. We got 2 kids. Ethan is 17, plays varsity basketball. Olivia is 12, wants to be a veterinarian. It was a Tuesday evening in October when Ethan came home late from practice. I was in the garage going through inventory reports when he walked in and grabbed a water bottle. Something felt off. "How was practice?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. When I glanced over, Ethan was staring at his phone, thumb frozen on the screen. "Fine," he finally said, but his voice had that flat quality kids use when they're hiding something. I set down my pen. "You sure about that?" Ethan looked at me with something I'd never seen before. Conflict. Like he was trying to solve an equation with no right answer. "Dad, if you knew something that might hurt someone you love, would you tell them?" My chest tightened. "Depends on what we're talking about, son." He picked at his water bottle label. "It's probably nothing. I'm not even sure what I saw." "What did you see?" Ethan looked toward the house, then back. "I left practice early yesterday and stopped by Mom's office to see if she wanted lunch. She wasn't there, but her car was in the lot. I walked around back by the detailing bay, and I saw her sitting in a black Mercedes from the luxury lot. She wasn't alone. The air felt thicker. Who was she with? Some guy in a suit. They were just talking, but she was laughing. Really laughing. The way she used to laugh at your jokes on road trips." Ethan met my eyes. Then she touched his arm. "Dad," not like a business touch. He leaned in close, and she pushed his shoulder playfully. It felt wrong. I wanted to tell him he was reading too much into it, that his mother was a professional who knew how to close deals. But the word stuck because some instinct recognized the truth in what he described. "Did she see you?" "No. I left before they noticed." I put my hand on his shoulder. "Your mom loves this family. Whatever you saw, I'm sure there's an explanation. Don't let your imagination run wild." Ethan nodded, but doubt lingered in his face. After he went inside, I stood alone in that garage for a long time. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. "Working late tonight. Don't wait up. Love you." I read it 3 times, looking for something hidden between the words, but there was nothing there. Just a message from my wife of 18 years. Or maybe that was the problem. Maybe I'd stopped looking close enough to see what was really there. I didn't confront Sophie that night. Part of me wanted to, but another part, the part that had built a life with this woman, needed proof before I destroyed everything with accusations. So, I watched, I listened, I paid attention in ways I hadn't in years. Thursday evening, Sophie announced she had a late client meeting. Said she'd grab dinner downtown and be home by 9 o'clock. She kissed Olivia on the forehead, squeezed my shoulder, and walked out with her laptop bag and that practice smile I'd seen her use on difficult customers. I gave her 20 minutes, then told the kids I needed to run to the dealership to check on a shipment. Ethan looked at me with knowing eyes, but said nothing. Smart kid. I drove to Riverbend Grill, the upscale steakhouse 3 blocks from our main lot. Call it intuition or paranoia, but something pulled me there. I parked across the street feeling ridiculous. A 44-year-old man playing detective on his own wife. Then I saw her car, the silver Audi we bought together last spring, parked in the restaurant's lot. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Maybe she really was meeting a client. Maybe I was about to make a fool of myself, but I got out anyway and walked toward the entrance. The hostess greeted me with a professional smile. I scanned the dining room, and that's when I saw them. Corner booth, dim lighting, wine glasses catching the candle light. Sophie sat across from a man in his late 30s, dark hair, expensive suit. They were leaning in close, the kind of close that has nothing to do with business. She was laughing at something he'd said, her hand resting on the table between them. Then she reached across and touched his hand. Not a business touch, not even close. My heart hammered against my ribs, but my feet kept moving. I walked through that restaurant like I was underwater. Sound muffled, vision tunneling. A waiter passed me. A couple in a nearby table clinked glasses. None of it registered. I reached their booth unnoticed. Sophie's back was partially to me, her fingers now intertwined with his across the table. The man saw me first. His eyes flickered up, confusion crossing his face. He pulled his hand back slightly. That's when Sophie turned. Our eyes met, and I watched every drop of color drain from her face. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Liam, she finally whispered, my name sounding foreign on her lips. The man straightened in his seat, glancing between us. I could see him trying to calculate who I was, what this meant. I didn't yell, didn't grab her, didn't make a scene. Instead, I looked at the man and extended my hand in mock politeness. Liam Walker, I said, my voice eerily calm. Sophie's husband of 18 years. And you are? He didn't shake my hand, just sat there frozen. I turned to Sophie. She looked like she might be sick. I told Ethan and Olivia I'd be home by 8. Wouldn't want to worry the kids. I let that sink in. Enjoy your dinner. I walked out the same way I came in, each step measured and deliberate. The cool night air hit my face, but I barely felt it. Behind me, I heard the scrape of a chair, Sophie's voice calling my name, but I kept walking. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed, a text from her. Please let me explain. It's not what you think. I almost laughed. What else could it possibly be? I drove home, walked inside, and told the kids our mother would be late. Ethan studied my face, but asked no questions. That night, I slept in the guest room, door locked, wondering how many other late meetings have been lies. Sophie came home 40 minutes later. I heard her car in the driveway, the garage door opening, her heels clicking on the tile. I was sitting in the living room, lights off, just the glow from the street lamp outside. She found me there, mascara smudged, lipstick on. For a moment, we just looked at each other across the dark room. The kids, she asked quietly, asleep? My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Flat, empty. She sat in the chair across from me, not on the couch beside me like she would have a week ago. That small choice told me everything. How long? I interrupted. I didn't want excuses. I wanted facts. She twisted her wedding ring. 8 months. 8 months. I'd celebrated our anniversary 5 months ago. Planned a surprise dinner, told her I loved her. She'd smiled and said it back. And the whole time she'd been carrying the secret. Who is he? Julian Vance. He's a regional manager for Lexus Corporate. We met at that dealer conference in Phoenix last March. She looked at her hands. It just happened. Liam, I didn't plan it. Nothing just happens. Sophie, you made choices. 8 months of choices. A tear rolled down her cheek. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. The business, the kids. You're always so focused on expansion and numbers. When was the last time you looked at me? Really looked at me? I stood up, anger finally breaking through. Don't you dare make this about me not paying enough attention. You want to know when I last really looked at you? Every morning when I made you coffee. Every night when I asked about your day, I looked. You just stopped seeing me. That's not fair. Fair. I laughed bitterly. You've been sleeping with another man for 8 months while I've been building a future for our family. Don't talk to me about fair. She stood too defensive now. I tried to end it multiple times, but he makes me feel things I haven't felt in years. Then maybe you should be with him. I said coldly because I'm done being the convenient husband while you figure out what you want. Her eyes widened. Liam, no. I love you. I love our family. You love the idea of our family, the comfortable life, the successful business, the nice house. But love, real love, doesn't sneak around for 8 months. I walked toward the stairs, then stopped. I want you out of here tomorrow. Stay with your sister, get a hotel. I don't care. But I need space, and so do the kids. You can't kick me out of my own house. Watch me. And Sophie, I'm calling our lawyer in the morning. You want to keep playing games? We'll play in court. I went upstairs, locked myself in the guest room, and for the first time since I found them together, I let myself break, but only for a minute. Tomorrow, I had a family to protect and a business to secure. Sophie moved out Friday morning while the kids were at school. I stayed at the dealership, couldn't watch her pack. When I came home that evening, half the house felt empty. She'd taken her clothes, her books, some photos, but she left her laptop on the kitchen counter. I stared at it for an hour before I opened it. This wasn't who I was. I didn't snoop, didn't invade privacy, but 8 months of lies had changed the rules. Her email was still logged in. I found a folder labeled conference materials. Inside were subfolders by date. I clicked on Phoenix, March 2024. Photos loaded. Dozens of them. Sophie and Julian at a hotel bar, at a rooftop pool, in a hotel room. Her in a robe, smiling at the camera with a look I hadn't seen in years. A video clip of her laughing, saying he's completely clueless. My stomach turned, but I kept looking. More folders. Denver, Seattle, San Diego, City. She told me were work trips. Each folder contained the same thing. Evidence of a double life. Then I found the spreadsheet. It was titled Schedule and color-coded by month. Each row had dates, locations, and notes. Tell Liam it's inventory training, said visiting mom. Sandra will cover if he calls. Annual dealer summit. He never checks these. She planned every lie. Every betrayal was documented like a business transaction. But what destroyed me was the financial tab. She'd been using our business credit card for hotels, dinners, gifts, over $47,000 in 8 months. Money that should have gone to Olivia's orthodontics, Ethan's college fund, our expansion plans. I screenshot everything, forwarded it to my personal email, and called my lawyer. Left a voicemail. Mark, it's Liam Walker. I need to see you first thing Monday. It's urgent. Then I call my accountant. David, I need you to do a complete audit of all accounts where Sophie has access. Every card, every transfer, I need it done by Monday. Liam, it's Friday night. I know what day it is. I'm paying you double. I need this. When I hung up, I sat in the dark kitchen surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal. And I realized something. I wasn't just angry. I was focused. She'd taken 8 months to build her lie. I'd take 8 days to dismantle it. Ethan came downstairs around midnight, found me still at the laptop. Dad, you okay? I looked at my son, this almost man who tried to warn me. I will be. We all will be. He nodded slowly. What happens now? Now I close the laptop. Now I fight for what matters. You, your sister, and everything we've built. Your mother made her choice. Now I'm making mine. Tuesday morning, I met with Mark, my lawyer. Spread everything across his desk. The photos, the spreadsheet, the financial records. He studied it all with the cold efficiency of a surgeon examining a wound. This is airtight, Mark said. Finally, the documentation alone will destroy any custody argument she makes and the financial misappropriation. We can use that to offset her claims to marital assets. I want majority custody of Ethan and Olivia. And I want her shares of the business bought out at current market value minus what she stole. Mark nodded, aggressive but justified. She used company funds for personal affairs. That's embezzlement in a family business context. He looked up. You ready for this to get ugly? Because she will fight back. Let her fight. I've got truth on my side. That afternoon, Sophie called. Not me directly, but she left a voicemail. Her voice shook with what I assumed she wanted me to believe was remorse. Liam, please. The kids need both parents. I made a mistake, but don't punish Ethan and Olivia for my failure. We can work through this. Marriage counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. Just don't do this to our family. I saved the voicemail. More evidence of her manipulation, using the kids as leverage. Friday evening, Ethan's basketball team had a home game. Big one, playoffs qualifier. I sat in the bleachers with Olivia beside me, watching my son drain 3-pointers like his life depended on it. Halfway through the second quarter, Sophie walked in. She wasn't alone. Julian Vance was with her, standing slightly behind, probably thinking he was being discreet. The audacity struck me speechless. Parents around us noticed. Whispers started spreading through the stands like wildfire. Sarah Peterson, whose daughter was in Olivia's class, leaned over. Is that the woman from the dealership? The one with... She trailed off, eyes flicking to Julian. That's my wife, I said loudly enough for nearby parents to hear. Soon-to-be ex-wife. And yes, that's the man she's been having an affair with for 8 months. Sophie's face went crimson. Several parents turned to stare. Julian looked like he wanted to disappear. Olivia grabbed my hand, squeezing hard. Dad, she whispered. Everyone's looking. Let them look, sweetheart. Truth doesn't hide in shadows. On the court, Ethan had noticed. He missed his next shot, staring at his mother and Julian with an expression that broke my heart. Betrayal, confusion, anger, all mixed together. After the game, which we won despite Ethan's distraction, Sophie approached us in the parking lot. Julian had wisely vanished. "How dare you embarrass me like that in front of the whole school?" she hissed. I put my hands on both kids' shoulders. "I embarrassed you. You brought your boyfriend to our son's basketball game. You embarrassed yourself. He's not my boyfriend. It's over between Julian and me." I ended it. Ethan laughed bitter and sharp. "Yeah, because you got caught, Mom. Not because it was wrong." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "Ethan, please understand. Your father and we've been drifting apart for years." "Don't." I interrupted. "Don't try to rewrite history to make yourself the victim. You made choices. Own them." I guided the kids to her car. Sophie called after us, but none of us turned around. In the rearview mirror, I watched her stand alone in that parking lot. And for the first time, I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just relief that we were moving forward without her. The divorce papers were served Monday morning. Sophie called me 17 times in 2 hours. I didn't answer. Instead, I focused on what mattered, protecting the kids and securing the business. But Wednesday brought a surprise. Julian Vance showed up at my dealership, walked right into my office like he had an appointment. "What the hell are you doing here?" I stood ready to throw him out physically if necessary. He raised his hands. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here because you deserve to know the truth." "I know the truth. You've been sleeping with my wife for 8 months. Longer than that," he said quietly. "Almost 2 years." The room tilted. "What?" Julian sat down uninvited. "Sophie told you 8 months because that's when I found out she was married. Before that, she said she was divorced, that her ex was out of the picture. She showed me photos of Ethan and Olivia. Said she had full custody." My jaw clenched. "You expect me to believe you didn't know? Check my phone records. March was when I first called your dealership, asking for her. That's when your receptionist mentioned Mrs. Walker, and I realized I'd been lied to." He pulled out his phone, showed me texts. I confronted her. She begged me not to end it. Said her marriage was dead anyway, that she was planning to leave you. I read the texts. They supported his story. Worse, they showed Sophie planning her lies, strategizing how to keep both of us. "Why are you telling me this?" Julian met my eyes. "Because when I ended things last week, she threatened me. Said if I didn't support her in the divorce, she'd claim I forced myself on her, that I manipulated her." He handed me a flash drive. "This is everything. All our communications, recordings of conversations where she admitted lying to both of us. I'm not a homewrecker, Mr. Walker. I'm another victim of your wife's games." After he left, I sat alone staring at that flash drive. 2 years. She'd been lying for 2 years. Every anniversary, every family vacation, every I love you had been contaminated with deception. I call Mark. The timeline just got longer. 2 years, not 8 months. And I have evidence that she threatened her lover when he tried to end it. "That changes everything," Mark said. "Character assassination, coercion, extended fraud. Liam, we just went from a strong case to an unbeatable one." That night, I told Ethan and Olivia the truth. Not the details, but the scope. Their mother had been lying longer than they knew. Ethan's response cut deep. "I feel like I don't even know her anymore." Olivia cried into my shoulder. "Why would you do this to us?" I held them both. These kids who deserve better. Sometimes people make choices we'll never understand. But what matters now is that we're together and we're going to be okay. Later, alone in my room, I finally let myself acknowledge the full weight of it. 2 years of my life, stolen by someone I trusted completely. But I wasn't broken. I was forged harder. And tomorrow, I'd use that strength to build something better. I'd been avoiding this conversation for 2 weeks, but it couldn't wait any longer. Sunday dinner at my parents' house had been a tradition for 20 years. Missing it would raise questions I wasn't ready to answer over the phone. I brought Ethan and Olivia. Didn't tell my parents about Sophie's absence until we were sitting at the table. Pot roast going cold while I explained why their daughter-in-law wouldn't be joining us anymore. My father, Henry Walker, built the first dealership from nothing. Tough as nails, old school values. He sat down his fork carefully when I told him about the affair, the lies, the stolen money. 2 years. His voice was quiet, dangerous. She stole from the family business for 2 years and lied to everyone. I confirmed. Used company funds for hotels, gifts, trips. $47,000. My mother, Eleanor, pressed her napkin to her mouth. Those poor babies. Ethan, Olivia, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Ethan shrugged, trying to look tough. We're okay, Grandma. Dad stood up, walked to the window, hands clasped behind his back. What's your plan, son? Full custody. Buy her out of the business at market value minus what she embezzled. Move forward. He turned around. You need help? Financial, legal, anything. I've got it handled, but I need something else. I looked to both parents. I need you to be there for Ethan and Olivia. They're going to have questions I can't answer about why people cheat, why marriages fail, why their mother chose this path. Mom came around the table, hugged both kids. We're not going anywhere. You're walkers. We take care of our own. Later, while Olivia helped Mom with dishes, Dad pulled me onto the back porch. You holding up all right? Some days better than others. Your mother wants to call Sophie. Give her a piece of her mind. Don't. It won't change anything. Dad nodded slowly. You're handling this better than I would have. I'd have burned everything down. He paused. But that's why you're running 3 dealerships, and I only built one. You think before you act. I wanted to burn it down. I admit it still. Do sometimes. But Ethan and Olivia are watching. I need to show them that men handle problems with strength and dignity, not rage. You're a good father, Liam. Better than she deserved as a husband. That Wednesday, Sophie's parents requested a meeting. I agreed. Neutral territory. Coffee shop downtown. Thomas and Mary Bennett had always been kind to me, treated me like a son. This conversation would hurt them as much as anyone. They arrived looking older than I remembered. Thomas's hand shook slightly as he ordered coffee. Liam. Mary started, voice trembling. Sophie told us her version. Now I want to hear yours. I laid it out. Everything. The timeline, the evidence, the money. Watched their faces crumble as each revelation hit. We raised her better than this, Thomas said. Finally. I don't understand where we went wrong. You didn't go wrong. Sophie made her own choices. Adult choices with adult consequences. Mary wiped her eyes. The kids. Can we still see them? Of course. You're the grandparents. This divorce is between Sophie and me, not you and them. Thomas reached across the table. Grip my hand. Thank you for being decent about this. For not poisoning them against their mother, even though you'd have every right. I'm not doing it for Sophie. I'm doing it for Ethan and Olivia. They don't need more adults acting like children. As I drove home, I realized something. I wasn't just surviving this. I was setting a standard for my kids, for myself, for what it meant to face betrayal with your head up and your integrity intact. The custody hearing arrived faster than expected. Mark had warned me it would be brutal. Sophie's lawyer, a shark named Daniel Reed, would try to paint me as controlling, cold, the reason she strayed. I wore my best suit, sat straight, answered every question honestly. Reed started gentle. Mr. Walker, would you say you're an attentive husband? I was made breakfast, planned anniversaries, supported her career, and yet your wife felt neglected enough to seek comfort elsewhere. Doesn't that suggest some failure on your part? Mark objected. The judge sustained it, but the seed was planted. Then came Sophie's testimony. She cried on cue, talked about feeling invisible, about my focus on business over family, about Julian, making her feel valued. I'm not proud of what I did, she said, dabbing her eyes. But I was drowning and Liam never noticed. Mark's cross-examination was surgical. Mrs. Walker, you mentioned feeling invisible. Yet bank records show your husband bought you gifts regularly, planned trips, attended every school function for your children. Could you explain what you mean by invisible? She stammered. It's not about things, it's about emotional connection. I see. And stealing $47,000 from the family business. Was that about emotional connection, too? I didn't steal. I used our money, company money, for personal affairs with a man who wasn't your husband for 2 years. Mark let that hang. How exactly does embezzlement constitute seeking emotional connection? The judge watched Sophie carefully. I could see the calculation in his eyes. Then, Ethan testified. At 17, he could choose which parent to address directly. He chose me. My dad has been there for every game, every concert, every time I needed someone. Mom was there, too, physically. But looking back, I realized she was always somewhere else in her head, always on her phone, always planning the next thing. Dad was present. Olivia's testimony destroyed me. At 12, she was still young enough to cry without shame. I just want my dad, she sobbed. I love my mom, but I don't trust her anymore. She lied to all of us. The judge called a recess. In the hallway, Sophie tried to approach the kids. Ethan stepped between them. Don't, he said firmly. You've done enough. When court resumed, the judge delivered his ruling. Primary custody to Mr. Walker. Mrs. Bennett Walker will have supervised visitation every other weekend until she completes counseling and demonstrates stability. Sophie's face crumpled. I felt no joy in her pain, but I felt relief. My kids were safe. Outside the courthouse, Ethan hugged me hard. We're going home. Yes, son. We're going home. That evening, the three of us ordered pizza, watched a movie, and for the first time in months, my house felt like a home again. Not because Sophie was gone, but because the lying was over. Truth, even painful truth, made better foundations than beautiful lies. 3 months after the divorce finalized, I stood in what used to be our bedroom, now just mine, packing the last of Sophie's things she'd never collected. Photos, books, a jewelry box she'd left behind. I boxed it all. No emotion attached anymore. Ethan knocked on the door frame. Need help? Almost done. You heading to practice in a bit. He sat on the bed. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Do you think you'll ever trust someone again? Like date or whatever? I sat down the box, sat beside him. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, I'm focused on you, Olivia, and the business. That's enough. But you're only 44. That's not old. I smiled. Thanks for that. I'm serious. You deserve someone who won't lie to you. Someone who sees what we see. What do we see? A good man. A great dad. Someone worth being loyal to. Ethan stood up. Mom's an idiot for throwing that away. After he left, I sat with those words. Maybe someday I'd be ready, but not today. The business, though, that was thriving. With Sophie bought out, I'd restructured everything. Promoted Chris Evans, our best sales manager, to partner. He brought fresh energy and ideas without the baggage of betrayal. Our numbers climbed. February broke records. March exceeded February. By April, we'd expanded into a 4th location. My father visited the new lot opening day. Walked through, nodding approval. You've done good, son. Built something real here. We built it together, Dad. You gave me the foundation. I gave you a lot and a dream. You made an empire. He clapped my shoulder. And you did it while keeping your family intact. That's the real achievement. Olivia's spring concert came around. She had a violin solo, something she'd been practicing for months. I sat front row recording on my phone. Sophie sat in the back, having driven in for her supervised visitation weekend. When Olivia played, the whole auditorium went silent. My little girl pouring her heart into that instrument, creating something beautiful from all the chaos we'd been through. Afterward, she ran to me first. Did I do okay? You were perfect. Sophie approached hesitantly. Bella, you were wonderful. Olivia hugged her mother. Brief but genuine progress. Small painful progress. That night, putting Olivia to bed, she asked the question I've been dreading. Dad, do you still love Mom? I chose my words carefully. I love who she was when we first met. Who I thought she was, but the person she became. That person hurt us too badly. So, you can stop loving someone. Not completely, but you can love them differently from a distance with boundaries that protect you. She nodded, processing. I think I understand. It's okay if you don't. Love is complicated, even for adults. As I closed her door, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore, wasn't bitter. I'd moved through grief into acceptance. And on the other side was peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you handled something terrible with grace. 14 months after that night at Riverbend Grill, I sat in my office reviewing quarterly reports. Walker Auto Sales had become Walker Automotive Group for locations, 60 employees, partnerships with 5 major manufacturers. Mark called with news. Julian Vance facing charges, fraud, embezzlement from his own company. Turns out he's been running scams for years. Good. Guys like him deserve what's coming. Sophie testified against him. Part of her plea deal for the money she took. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just indifference. She'd become a stranger who occasionally picked up my kids for court-mandated visits. Ethan graduated that spring with honors, full scholarship to State University. At his graduation party, he gave a speech that made everyone cry. I want to thank my dad for showing me what real strength looks like. Not the kind that tears people down, but the kind that builds them up even when you're being torn apart yourself. Dad, you taught me that being a man means having integrity when it costs you everything. I hope I can be half the man you are. I hugged my son, this almost man, and felt pride that had nothing to do with grades or scholarships. He'd learned the lessons that mattered. Olivia was thriving too. Made the honor roll, joined the debate team, talked about becoming a lawyer instead of a veterinarian. Someone's got to stand up for people who get lied to, she said with a fierce determination that reminded me of my mother. My parents remained involved. Sunday dinners still happening. Now with Chris and his family joining us, we'd built something bigger than blood. A chosen family based on loyalty and trust. Sophie's parents, Thomas and Mary, stayed close with the kids. I never badmouthed her to them, never made them choose sides. They appreciated that. Told me repeatedly I was handling the situation with more grace than they'd have managed. One Saturday in June, I was at the main lot when a woman came and looking at SUVs. Professional, confident, asking smart questions. Our sales guy was struggling to keep up. I stepped in. Mind if I help? She smiled. Please. I've been researching for weeks and now I'm paralyzed by choices. We talked for an hour. Not just about cars, but about life, careers, the challenges of balancing everything. Her name was Chloe. She ran a marketing firm, and she had a laugh that reminded me what genuine joy sounded like. When she bought the SUV, she handed me her business card. If you ever need marketing help, give me a call. I looked at the card, then at her. What if I call for other reasons? She smiled. I'd like that. I didn't call right away. Waited 2 weeks. Made sure I was ready. But when I did, we met for coffee, then dinner, then more dinners. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Just two people who'd been through their own battles. Finding something real in the aftermath. Ethan met her after 3 months. Gave his approval with a grin. She seems cool, Dad. And she actually laughs at your terrible jokes. My jokes aren't terrible. They really are. That summer, standing on the deck of our house with Ethan heading to college in the fall, Olivia starting high school, and Chloe coming over for dinner with her own kids, I realized something profound. Sophie hadn't destroyed my life. She destroyed a version of it built on lies. What I'd built in its place on truth and hard choices and refusal to be broken that was stronger than anything we'd ever had. The business was thriving. My kids were happy, healthy, honest. I'd learned I could survive betrayal and come out better for it. Some mornings I still thought about that night at the restaurant, walking up to their table, seeing her hand in his. But now, instead of pain, I felt gratitude. Because that moment, as terrible as it was, had freed me to build something real. And real, I'd learned was worth more than comfortable lies ever could be.